Hello everyone and welcome to Tech with Robert, the Get Started with T-SQL course. In this lecture we're going to take a look at a few more aggregate functions, but before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up on the video if you like what I do. That really helps me to know what I do well and what you guys want me to improve on focus more on in the future lectures. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So we have covered a couple of aggregate functions such as sum, the count, the min, max, and the average functions, and although these ones are the most commonly used ones, there are a couple of more, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about them in detail. I just want to sort of show them to let you guys know that they are there, and I'm also going to provide a link in the description to the documentation where you can find all of the aggregate functions and where you can read more about these functions if you should want to. So if we create a new query and target the AdventureWorks database that we've been working with up until now, we can create a query and we can say we want to select the order date, let's say from facts internet sales. We can say we want to select the order date. Let's say we want to select the sum of the sales amount and call it sales amount. We also want to say sum of the order quantity and call it order quantity, like this. And if we just run the query, we need to say group by order date, like this. And now, as we know, we see the order date, we see the sum of the sales amount and the order quantity, and we have grouped it by the order date. And so we can take a look at another aggregate function, which is the standard deviation. Okay, so we write that as stdev, and we say on the sales amount column, I will name it stdev. And so what this does is it's going to show us the standard deviation for that column. Okay, and it's going to return the statistical standard deviation for all of the values, and it's going to that we provided in the expression, and it's going to be based on the sample of the data population. Okay, and so we have another one which is stdevp, which is essentially the same thing, but it's going to calculate the standard deviation across the entire data population. Okay, and so let's say we give it a step p, and there we see we have the standard deviation and then the standard deviation based on the population. And we can take a look at two more, which are the var, which stands for variance. So we say the var for the sales amount, I will name it variance, like this. And we also have the exact same concept as we have with this stdev and the stdevp. We also have varp, which is exactly the same thing, but variance instead of the standard deviation. So it's going to say, for example, this one, the regular var, is the same as the stdev. For example, it's going to base it on the current data set here that we have, and the varp, it's going to apply it on the entire data population. So we can say variance p, for example. So now we see we have the order date, the sales amount, the order quantity, the standard deviation for the entire population, and then the same thing with variance and the variance for the entire population. So there are a couple of more aggregate functions that I almost never use, but they are there, and I'm going to leave, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to leave a link in the description so to all of these the aggregate functions if you should want to read more about them. But that is it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we're going to talk a little bit about sort of end this section. We have covered the basics now in T-SQL, and we're going to talk about what we have covered so far and how we sort of enter into the new section, the new phase there, because in the upcoming tutorials we're going to talk more about some more intermediate concepts and queries. So I hope to see you guys there, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.